Are we on?
We're live now.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
Hey,
y'all.
everybody.
We are back home.
We're back in Portugal.
Oh my gosh, y'all. Spain was amazing. Spain was amazing, but there is no place like home. And we really have to appreciate the fact that we found an amazing apartment thanks to Rossini.
Yes,
all
yes.
that stuff,
Yes.
all that stuff you're going to learn in the Move to Portugal Summit. But first, we got two people coming on the show today that changed our lives. Period. Full stop.
Yeah.
We would not be here in Portugal today on our 1 year anniversary if it were not for these two women.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it because y'all want to know how you can get the freedom that Rick and I have. Y'all want to know how you can travel around the world. See, we were talking earlier and I got teary.
Start crying. You can ready to start crying again.
How you can travel around the world and make that happen. Black folks are doing the damn thing.
They're doing the damn thing.
And we want you to do it too.
Hey, there's plenty of room out here in these European streets.
Streets.
In this international thing.
Yes. But first, if you are new to our channel, then hey, y'all, you came to the right show. My name's Halisi.
And I'm Rick. Welcome to our Black Utopia.
On our channel, we talk about money, travel, and retiring abroad as we build generational wealth.
So,
who are we talking to today?
We are talking to two powerhouses. These two women, oh my God. If you don't know who they are and they haven't touched your life, they're getting ready to.
Yes.
So you need to call out who's ever outside or out in the other room and bring them in the room because we have Stephanie Perry.
That's
and
right.
Rashida Dow.
3 snaps.
Hey, let me tell you.
These are the Harriet Tubmans of the Exodus movement. If you don't know, you know we are on a mission because America does not deserve all of our hard work, all of our energy. They don't deserve killing us, our health, our wealth, our mental health. They don't deserve it. And so we're on a mission to show you that there is a different way. You do not have to stay there. This is part of our reparations, honey. I'm sorry.
You always say that.
I say this is my reparations because they're always talking about, why would you move to Portugal? They start the slave trade. This is my reparations. We are living our best lives. So if you are new, you may not know about almost 7 years ago now, Rick and I were getting close to retirement age and we had a wake-up call.
Yes.
We looked at our money and it looked crazy. Y'all, I'm not asking you to come out here in these international streets broke. That ain't the way. All right.
Do that.
Our money looked crazy, but about 4 years ago, we got our financial act together and we went from negative $22,000 to over $1 million in net worth. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, hit that subscribe button right now. Go ahead. And that notification bell so that you know every single time we drop a new video or go live.
Yes.
So without further ado, we bring in the divas on, baby. Hey, Stephanie. Hey, Rashida.
Hey, ladies. How you doing?
It's time to celebrate. Cheers. Thank you.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Congratulations on 1 year.
Yes.
1 year. So it's been a year and a half since we did our scouting trip. And when I found y'all right before Exodus Summit 2021.
Okay. So that was September 2021.
Yes.
That was our homecoming.
That's right, homecoming.
Yep.
So I got to see all of these amazing Black women who had done the thing. And we're going to talk about Exodus Summit, of course. We are going to talk about adult gap year, of course, and how to move abroad. We're going to talk about all of that stuff. But I want to frame this conversation because you all have to understand the transformation that can happen when you take shortcuts, when you attend things like Exodus Summit.
That's right.
Because September, I was at the Exodus Summit. December, I was like, baby, I can't do this no more.
You can't argue with that.
I can't do this anymore. Like there's not enough manicures, there's not enough baths.
No. And like I said earlier, when we were talking earlier, it's like I thank Stephanie and Rashida because they brought my wife back to me. Because she was trying to attempt to get by with taking them long baths with the candles and Calgon, and Calgon wasn't doing anything but making her wet.
That's right. And I was in the tub crying.
Candles burning, dog sitting outside the door of the bathroom wondering if she okay.
That was my life. I was working 70 hours a week, taking care of my dad full time. Now, come on now. And Stephanie's talking about, we got to take off the cape. We got to take off the cape. So January 4th. So this was, okay, September, Exodus Summit. By January 4th, I gave my boss notice. Because they helped me figure out that I did not need $3 million cash. They helped me understand that I did not have to go full fire. If you all don't know what FIRE is, it's financial independence, retire early. That all of the travel that we wanted to do, we could still do if we were willing to watch other people's pets. We'll talk about that. We just came back from Spain. 3 weeks, did not pay a dime for accommodations in Girona, Spain. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the most expensive cities or towns in Spain.
In Spain, yeah.
So, yeah, these are the ladies that made it happen. So we've got some folks in the audience, but first, let's let Stephanie and Rashida introduce themselves. So I'm just going to go in the order you're showing up on my screen. Start with Stephanie.
Hello, friends. I'm Stephanie Perry. I am a house sitter. I'm the creator of House Sitter School. I am the co-creator of Exodus Summit. I believe in doing as little as possible. And right now I'm in an airport lounge. So you're going to see movement and you're going to hear things. I'll try to keep it quiet. Okay. But you're going to hear some things happening. I have the location freedom and the time freedom to leave my new home in Costa Rica, or my new home city in Costa Rica, in San Jose, Costa Rica, and fly up to Houston to see Beyonce. I saw Beyonce yesterday. Y'all didn't ask me all this. I'm telling you though. In the process of flying back to my new home city of San Jose, Costa Rica, I'm so proud of Rick and Halisi for doing something instead of just watching over and over and saying, oh, that would be nice, but here's why it won't work for us. I'm so proud. And so I'm so glad to be here to talk with you guys and we are, and to celebrate with y'all today.
Cheers.
Cheers, cheers, cheers.
My name is Roshida Dow, and I am a career break coach. Back in 2018, I was burned out and I feel like there was a sidle in the air, and I love myself too much to hurt myself. So I was real close to showing up at work crazy one day. But fortunately for me, the business I work for went out of business. So I had a very smooth departure when they weren't hiring anyone anymore. And that changed my life. You know, I've been laid off twice in my life, and this is not the intro. This is going to be, I'm going to shorten this real quick. Anyhow, that second layoff changed things for me. I decided to travel for a year. I traveled for a year, and I realized that my life was significantly better outside of the United States. After that, I moved to Mexico City. I am home in Mexico City right now because I did not see Beyonce last night, but I have seen her twice this year, once on a 2-month trip through Europe and Northern Africa, where I met Rick and Halisi, yes. And once 2 weeks ago on a 3-week excursion to see all my godkids. Because I have location independence, I have time freedom, I have financial freedom, and those are things that I want for you because I recognize that I love the life I have now, and the life I have now was not available to me until I got those 3 things, until I got the time to do what I want. I could do whatever I wanted, wherever I wanted to, and I had the money to spend. You know, I was living a life that I didn't want to live. And the life you want may not be the life I want, but the life you want probably requires at least 2 out of those 3 things too. So that's why we're here today, here to talk about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I watched you on that, on your trip that you went to see your godkids. Was it cold?
So Florida first. So that was That was not cold. I was like, oh, it's a lot. And then Vancouver. Vancouver Island, which is an island off the coast of Vancouver, off the coast of British Columbia. Now, the only way to get there is by boat or by seaplane. Like it's like rural, like they have logging, like you see people putting logs on ships, rural, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the deer in the backyard all the time, and not like they're rural. Not cold this time because I went at the end of August, beginning of September. Beginning of September is when I was there. But I usually go in November, and it's terrible. It is absolutely miserable. So I go over for Thanksgiving. I'm glad that I went earlier this year. But I have to say, you parents out there, I don't know how you do it. Because this is the time of year that I'm with children and parents. Those children play soccer 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Somebody got to take them to the soccer field 6 days a week. Mom and dad volunteer to coach and do this and that. 6 days.
It's a job.
Not only do you have to feed them,
but you gotta.
They're not killing themselves. You also got to take them out to do things. Like, y'all don't have any time for I was with people who did not have time freedom for 2 weeks. And I was like, I love you guys very much, but this feels terrible. There's always a soccer game. This is what your parents do? This is it?
And I'm going to tell you, if you live somewhere else, you don't have to drive them. They can just get there because there's a good public transportation system. We know parents who live here in Portugal whose kids are in soccer clubs, is what they call them, something like that. And the kids are welcoming to all kids. Hello, even if you don't speak Portuguese yet. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they might have practice 6 days a week, but they can just jump on the metro. And by the way, the cards are free for kids.
The metro cards are free?
For kids. Mm-hmm. And for seniors.
Outside of the U.S., they really love them, some old people. They really
right?
do.
They do. So let's see who is in the chat. We've got Valerina is in the house. Hey there. Hey, Greta. Good to see you again. Pinky. You'll see a lot of familiar names and some new names. Hey, Kelly. I'm glad you made it. RW. Hey.
Good afternoon.
Good. Yeah. Seems like a new name. Oh. Hey, Action VJ. Hey, y'all. Hey, Stephanie. Hit that like button. He always says, thank you, Action. We love it. Hey, Serpantha Man, Maria, Raquel, flying free. I love it. Dee Dee, glad you're in the house. Hey, Melon T.
Hey, Melon T.
Glad you're here. So these are two people who came to Portugal with their kid. Okay, you do not have to wait until the kids do something, graduate from high school, graduate from college or whatever before you make that move. Hello, Vicky. Karen Louise, you made it today.
Hey,
glad
Louise.
You're here. Hey, Jess. Nubia Net.
How you doing?
Greta making the money moves. My peace. Good to see you. Thank you, Stephanie. You're also funny. Can you do me a favor? I forgot to put the link in the private chat. I know Stephanie probably have it. She's one of you if you could do that. Right? Hey, Regina. Professor, glad you're here. Melody. Hey, now that's a new name. Hey, welcome. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Hey, Andrea, Winifred, and we've got Prophet Mom. Is it Prophet Mother? Yeah, Prophet Mother.
That's Tori.
Another new name.
Tori is speaker at Exodus Summit this year.
Okay.
And Tori just dropped me off here at the airport.
Wow.
I got
she made the broadcast.
Right. And she made it back home in time. Wow. So I thought Houston's traffic. Honey. Happy Nurse Patty. Good to see you. Hope and Victory, another new name. Good to see you in the chat. Victoria, Kimmy. Hey, everyone. We love you. And we are so happy that you are here. We've got a show for you.
Yeah. Did you get Global Granny?
Hey, Global Granny. Thank you.
Hey, Anita.
Junket, Michelle. I mean, we've got the every last half full. Everybody is in the house today. Winnie, Jan. So we love you. Ron.
Hey, Ron. How you doing?
We are simulcasting on Facebook and on LinkedIn. So if you're logging in from Facebook or LinkedIn, say hello. Let us know that it's showing okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get started.
Here's the first one for
both of them.
Okay. So the first question is, how did you come up with the idea of taking an adult gap year?
I had never heard of that. I thought that was something white folks did.
It was.
Like when my nephew mentioned that, his mom was like, you ain't white?
We don't do that.
What you thinking?
White kids, even not even in the US, not even white adults, but just white kids who just graduated from college or sometimes high school, were given permission to travel and live for themselves and not focus on career and education for a year, right? Just 1 year. Okay, you get 1 year. And so I knew about that just because I knew that it was something that they did. I didn't know that it was a thing that Europeans do just at any given time in their life. At any time.
I didn't either. Okay.
Yeah. For me, it's watching the kids. It's not just that they're given permission to take time off from, not go directly to college or whatever. It was also, I realized we could recognize them as tired. Like they've been in school, they've been doing this work, a version of work for many years, and people recognize they needed a break. But so frequently in our communities, I took my break at 38, and older women would really say to me, you don't know anything about being tired. And I'm like, that's one way to look at it. That's one way, to approach it, that I'm not as tired as you. But that doesn't mean that I don't deserve a break and that you didn't deserve a break 30 years ago, right? You did. You deserved a break before that. But that isn't communicated. It's rarely communicated to us that breaks in our community, breaks are okay, and that you might be tired. And working through tired isn't a badge of honor, right? In our world, it's kind of like, of course you're burned out. Of course you're tired. Why? Like the idea that you would do something to untire yourself seemed ridiculous, right? Years ago. And so Stephanie and I have really tried to normalize the idea that rest before you're tired, right? Like rest, don't wait until, like I said, I was showing up to people's offices like, is this the day I tell them some words that I can't say on this channel and then I march out of the office? Is this the day? Because I was tired and there was never any rest. There was never any peace. And so the idea that we as a community recognize it and acknowledge it and know that we have tools to do things a different way is a change I would like to see. And even if that is starting young, right? Starting young. I didn't know. When I said I want to take a break, I had a white therapist and she was like, you should go do that. And I don't know, but I feel like back in I think I said this in 2017, early 2018. I've never had a Black therapist who was like, when you're tired, rest. I feel like this is a more popular sentiment now, but stop working so hard wasn't something that Black people said to each other, right?
No.
It was
work. Not at all.
Well, if they're not paying attention to how good your work is now, just work harder, make your work better, do more, right? So to have a white woman tell me like, oh, no, just do less. Like, that's what why are you trying so hard? Was life-changing. I realized that the way I'd been an immigrant, a daughter of a Jamaican woman, right? Who had multiple jobs. The idea that the only way to advance was to work myself to death just wasn't sitting right with me, right? And so I was like, what if I just took a break? We'll see what happens. We'll see what, I was at that point, I was like, I don't even have a plan. We'll just see what happens when I get back.
Yeah.
It is so foreign. And I think Black excellence says that. So I'll tell you what my parents said to me. They said, learn everybody else's job.
Mm-hmm.
Make yourself indispensable.
Mm-hmm.
So, right?
If you're indispensable, you don't get a vacation.
Right.
So I'm not an attorney, Why am I taking home contracts to read them so that I understand what we have? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That was me. And so, no wonder I'm tired. And for what? Like, I never made the amount of money that I deserve to make. I never made the amount of money that people with less education, melanin challenged, usually with different body parts, like, you know, the guy that I was reporting to had an AA degree, less experience.
Yeah.
What's wrong with this picture? What is wrong with this picture? And so no wonder.
No, we're not going to, you're not going to work your way to being treated fairly by people who don't see you as deserving of being treated fairly. You can't earn it. There's no work. There's no amount of work. There's no way that you can present yourself. It's a losing proposition.
Yes.
We've had a couple of generations who've tried it.
Yes.
I don't know, how many generations would you say? Maybe 5 or 6 generations since we've had some generations try.
Yes.
I think what we've seen is that experiment was a failure.
Yes.
And
it was a failure.
Continue it.
It was a failure. And we've reached a point where there's a good portion of people who are deeply committed in their souls to not seeing the value in what we do. It's not just that like they don't see it. It's that I could give birth to a golden egg today and they'd be like, that wasn't you, right? Like, I'm gonna roll this gold away from you.
Or that was
right.
what
Do it again.
do, right?
Do it again,
Exactly.
but that wasn't you.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So there's no changing those minds because they are committed to not being changed. They're committed to not seeing the value in you as an employee. Because then maybe you should earn more money, right? They're committed to not seeing value in you as a human because then maybe the way our economy is set up and our society is set up, maybe it isn't fair if you are valuable as a human. And so some people are stay and fight people and some are not. And I'm not a stay and fight person.
No, I was a stay and fight person until I wasn't, right? And hey, Roger. And so, you know, I get things in my feed. We're going to get back on topic, but I have to go down this a little bit. I get things in my feed, all the Karen stories, right? And I hear Black people shout their credentials. Why are you treating me this way? I have a master's degree or this or that, you know, and it's like, so if I don't have a master's degree, I deserve to be treated this way? What are we saying?
Right.
That's exactly right. I think about the boy all the time, the violinist, the young boy. He was in Colorado, right? And he's like, I'm a nice kid. I have a job. I play the violin. I like gaming, right? Those are his last words
Those are his last words. Yeah.
To people who were never, it was never going to work, right?
The ones that the paralytic gave the shot to calm him down.
Oh.
Yeah. Right. It's never going to work. Never going to work. Nothing. Right. Okay. So I don't know what y'all think, but I think that so I'm really surprised, Halisi, in a wonderful way that you were able to make a decision to stop the fight. Because that's got to be really hard to be a person who had committed your adult life to fighting this fight, fighting the fight of equality, fighting in the political arena, to then be like, oh, no, I'm going to stop that. And that I can't. Okay, so you and Angela, I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so proud of you guys.
Angela too.
And I'm shocked and surprised how you were able to say, I'm changing course. That couldn't have been an easy decision, but I guess the crying in the bathtub every day probably works in the opposite. You know, it worked in your favor in one way.
Definitely. And seeing friends of mine at the Capitol barring themselves in to the chambers while people who were melanin challenged stormed the Capitol and didn't know about it. Everybody's like, huh, what are we doing? Then I said, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Right.
What am I doing? And so I think that America really does need to feel the pain of a Black brain drain. They don't understand our value. And maybe if they did not have us as the whipping boys, then maybe the ones who are still left there will be treated better. So since you took that 1 year gap, that gap year, both of you at different times, not knowing each other, made a decision. One person was a pharmacy technician at a hospital, which I didn't even know what that was. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that's what they were called. The person who puts the IVs in and does all of that stuff. I don't know. So I love learning stuff. One person's an attorney, very different lives. And you both decided around the same time to do the same thing. How did your life change? How did your mental health, your physical health, and your idea about who you were in this world change? Whoever wants to go first.
My life has changed in ways that I'm still like, because honestly, there's a part of me that like blocks out old Rashida. I think Stephanie's a lot better about talking about like the past her than I am, because there are parts of the past me that I still can't acknowledge. I don't think I really understood in the moment how unhappy I was. I didn't realize how out of tune I was with my body until I got away from work and from stress. I didn't realize how sleep deprived I was, and that the sleep I got wasn't restful sleep, right? It took being away from work more than not even away being away from work and still in America. Being away from work is the thing that caused the biggest difference for me. Being away from America was a secondary point.
Yeah.
But being away from work and not having to work with people who spent all day devaluing me and stressing me out and forcing me to prove that I was the expert in the room when I was the expert in the room. I don't know how frequently all your cells regenerate, but it's at least 100 times, right? Like I'm a completely brand new person from who I was back then. And one of the things I'm aware of now that I'm out of that realm, when I talk to people in that realm, is not only am I a different person, I can see the ways I wasn't my best self by seeing my friends right now. I talk to them, and the ones who like talk about nothing but work and how terrible it is for like an hour, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta go. I was in a group chat and had to leave. I had to leave the group chat because I was like, it's making me like every time all we talk about is how terrible your jobs are. I don't
PTSD.
Yeah.
It's right. And for my own mental health, I can be in these conversations about how terrible your job is. I can be here when you want to get out, but I can't be steeped in the day-to-day terribleness, especially when most of us, when we're in that day-to-day terribleness, aren't doing anything about it. Right? Most of us think it's the status quo and there's nothing to be done. And so we accept it and hope that one day it will change with a different job. It won't. A different boss. It won't. More money. It won't. A new title. It's not changing. Right? And so for me, when something's wrong with my body now, I know what it is. Before I was like, I don't know why I have this terrible pain in my stomach and I'm like doubled over in pain. And my doctor was like, you need to poop. You know why I wasn't pooping? I was stressed. And I didn't it didn't dawn on me, but this is the problem at all. He was like, I think, and actually that's all it took for the pain to go away. But I didn't know that because I was so like, I didn't know I was holding on to so much stuff. My body was holding on to the stress in so many different ways that, like I said, doubled over in pain. I had all kinds of autoimmune issues that were flaring all the time. My back was out all the time. And I just like, I didn't know what it was until I got out of there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I want to add something to that because it's really easy. You said, yeah, you don't have an overbooked day because you retired. But we know people in the States who retire and still have that, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm about to start this business, and then I'm volunteering on this board, this board, this board, this board, and this board, and this board. They're still into this is what Black excellence in retirement looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And they're on everybody's board, volunteering, and just as busy and stressed out as they were before. Why?
Yeah.
Busyness is we're kept busy on purpose, right? When you're busy, you can't hear your thoughts. When you're busy,
right,
you don't know, you can't examine your life, right? So we're kept busy on purpose, even in retirement. That's what my sabbatical, my gap year did for me. It gave me time to hear what was running in my brain over and over again. I could hear that negative self-talk that I never really paid attention to before. And I was saying some terrible things to myself, and I didn't like it, right? And having free time, having a lot of time where I did nothing, right? I did some volunteer work in the year. I did, right? Because I needed free room and board because I was running low on cash. I did some things, but mostly I did nothing. And I got a chance to hear how I talk to myself, what I think about things, why, and examine why do I think this way. And there's no turning back from that, because once one little thing falls, then another and another. And also gave me myself. Rashida got connected to her body better. I got better connected to myself. Like I thought that the way that I was living my life was who I was. So I thought that I was a person who, for example, didn't talk to strangers, right? Because I moved from a Black place to a white place in 4th grade. And I moved from a place where it was all love. I don't know. In my world, in elementary school, life was breezy and my family was close by. Then we moved to Ohio, Westerville, Ohio. And I got kicked off the school bus in like multiple times because a white parent didn't like me. It was just, I had to build up this defense. Right. And I became a person who didn't talk to strangers as much as I love to talk. Imagine, right? Imagine. I just became things that I thought meant this is who I am. And having that career break, having that sabbatical helped me reconnect with the real person, the real me, and not the defenses, not the barriers that I had to live with, not the reactions to the various traumas and experiences that I've had in my life. It was wonderful. It was so wonderful to meet me at 41. It was so nice to meet the person who will sit down and talk to a stranger in a minute, and will do all the things that I thought I did not do, right? That was it. That year gave me everything. So it's hard for us to answer this question, I think both of us, because it gave us everything. It gave us a new life. We are different people.
Mm-hmm.
Worth it. The best year, the best investment we have put into ourselves.
14,400.
That was my money. Rashida's figure was absolutely not.
Rashida's leading the bling bling life. Okay, so when Rashida was in Lisbon, she showed me an area next to a mall that I always go to. I was like, oh,
yeah,
this is still Lisbon?
What is that?
Everything's all blinged out.
We thought we were the Jeffersons. We was moving on up.
Right.
I'm the queen of booking at the last minute. And what's available at the last minute are the really, really terrible things or the really, really nice things. So I have to do what I have to do.
And it's not going to be the really, really terrible thing.
It's not going to be real. I had my mama with me. If my mom walked into really, really terrible, she will book really, really terrible for herself. But if I took her to really, really terrible, she would be like, what are you? Where am I? What is this? What is it?
What is about Ohio?
We both.
What are you wondering about Ohio?
Born in Ohio.
Born and raised.
Partially
raised
in Ohio.
That's when I was 12.
I met 2 Black folks when I was in Ohio for a conference. One was an Uber driver, one was an executive. They both basically said, Black people are lazy, Black people don't want to work, etc. 2 Black males, That's my idea of, and then the white man who invited me to be a speaker at the conference at the little happy hour said, "Oh yeah, they tried to nigger rig it." Oh, oops, no offense. Oh, you
That's good.
that's Ohio.
That's the territory.
That's Ohio.
the territory.
And this wasn't even Steubenville. This was like a city. And he was from whatever the biggest city is. I don't know. Cleveland.
Cincinnati,
I don't
Cleveland.
know. I don't know. I ain't know. So, Action VJ, thank you.
I offered to take her back to Ohio. I said, you know what? You want to go back to Ohio and see my hometown? She said no. Before I got it out of my mouth.
I did my 10 winters and I was like, that's enough. I've had it. Now, I will say the Black community that I built in Columbus, Ohio, that is there and that welcomed me in Columbus, Ohio was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Well,
but that one time I got stopped by a cop on the freeway, I just knew I was going to die. I knew this was it. I knew I was on the west side of town and I was like, don't die. I literally was on the freeway saying, this is not, to myself, this is not how you die. 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 On the freeway. Now, the cop was really nice. But like,
you don't know.
It's just there. Yeah.
You don't know. And so I don't miss that life at all.
Greta says, I remember my boss telling me they did not like saying my name, so they called me Carol.
Whoa.
Greta is such like a harmless and beautiful name.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why?
I could see Halisi, right? Because I don't let people call me anything but, you can call me Miss Vincent, or you can call me Halisi. Not Hal, not Lise. That's not my name. And I don't know what that stuff means. You may not respect me, but I will fight you. I love it. And we shouldn't have to fight. That should not be our lives, right? So Teresa asks, happy Sunday, or says, oh, finally, I'm catching you on the line. Yay! Welcome, welcome, welcome for the second time and here for it all. Stephanie, I set my alerts as you instructed.
I told everybody on Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
People are always like, oh, I missed it. I'm like, use your tools. You don't have to remember things. I'm at an age where I do not try to remember things anymore. Okay. I need an alert.
So Mama Fatima, welcome, new name. I was not giving my children a stable life, that they would be wild, feral, and not a good thing. Because she has been traveling with her kids. But I was tired and loved traveling with them. I love to homeschool them and they enjoy life, right? Like the life that we are talking about, or the idea that that stability means staying in one place. No, you are the stability.
Right.
The parents are the stability. Yes. Not the location. And there's nothing better that you can do for your Black kids than get them out of the place that tells them that they are not bleep.
Oh my God. I mean, to mention the Howard worldview, Melon Tadisi and Drew. Oh, this young man, I'm not going to call him a kid. This young man is so talented. Concert pianist would be in his plans. I could see if he wanted to do it because he's that talented. But
and unlike the average 12, 13-year-old, maybe he's almost 14 now, you know how some kids are afraid to talk to adults. They pull back. This young man is confident enough to say what he thinks, to say what he feels, right? Like, because he has been exposed and he knows that he has the wherewithal to adapt. And it's so important.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. It truly is important.
So important.
I would also say, let your kids be a little wild and feral. Let them grow up a little ungovernable. Yes, I think that's it. Right? Yeah. Like allow them to grow up in a way that they do not fall in line with what everybody says. That some random person on the street can't walk up to them and just boss them around. Let them be a little feral, right? What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Because I tell you, and you mentioned this earlier, and I mentioned it to you. I was like, if that was a Black kid, he would not, or she would not be allowed to do that. Because what grandma used to say, don't let these white folks see you doing blah, 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 blah. Right? And so Black kids in the United States are not allowed to be kids, while, white kids and sometimes like the Latino or immigrant kids are over there in the bank while their mom's doing the banking. They're over there playing tag.
You're running in and out.
Right. Parents are, because they are kids.
Mhm.
That's what kids do. Now, if they're 14 and doing it, you got a problem. But when they're 4, 5, and 6, why are we asking our kids to act differently than the kids that they're looking at? It's so unfair, and we rob them of their childhood and the joy. And then there's like, I'm just trying to have fun. I thought, and we wonder why we're so jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
We wonder why we're so jacked up. So what personality types are not in line with being able to move abroad or take that gap year, take that sabbatical? What kind of personality types would you say, if you were like this is probably not going to be your cup of tea?
First, I would say people who need things to go exactly as planned and cannot adjust to changes. If you're very much like, this is how I planned it, so this is how it has to happen, life abroad might be hard for you. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying that some adjustments, some tweaking yourself before you go out into the world would be helpful. Steph, what would be next for you?
I would say if you are wanting to perpetuate what you see in the US somewhere else, if you just want to go somewhere where you can be the colonizer, don't go. Okay, just stay home. If you want to recreate US life in another place so that you can dominate over some people, so that you can financially abuse some people and take advantage of some people, it's not for you. It's not for you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
That's true.
I've heard people say that like the locals need us. In a specific city, I'm not gonna say which city, but somebody here knows what I'm talking about. The locals, this was said publicly, the locals need us. They want us here. They need us here. And if that's your attitude, you're probably doing what Stephanie just talked about, which is you have put yourself where you feel like you're in a position of power. People should be grateful for your presence. Don't nobody care about you, right? I hear it all the time in Mexico, especially when they were cracking down on immigration, on the immigrants. Mexico was cracking down on the immigrants, and people were like, how dare they? Our tax dollar, not our tax dollars, because they ain't paying taxes. The money we spend here makes their economy. How can they possibly? I'm like, you think they don't know how much money you spend here? You think they don't? You think someone didn't do the math and still say it ain't worth it to have y'all here? Right? Like you're overvaluing who you are and what you give to the country with your presence, and that can happen more frequently. And I hate to see it within the Black community, but I do. I see Black people saying things. I'm like, that would be so. Like if someone moved to your neighborhood, if a white man moved to your. If a Chinese man moved to the hood and was like, you guys need me here. You need the money I spend here. You need the businesses, which is part of it too. You need the businesses I create here. People would be up in arms.
Yeah.
They'd be up in arms. Yeah. But I see Black people do it in other communities. And I'm like.
And particularly in Africa, we have this real idea that we can go and make
better
financially improve. I'm like, you haven't been, okay? There's already cities there. I don't know what you think you're going to do and build there.
There's a lot of money in Africa.
But there are cities there. There is wealth there.
It's not just starving babies with flies flying around them. Like, number one. Number two, they don't know you. They don't identify with you. You may call it the motherland.
They don't
view you. Thank you. They do not. I mean, I did feel that in South Africa, but they're just as mixed up as we are as far as not being pure to one tribe or another necessarily, right?
That was where?
But in South Africa.
Okay, yes.
But in other African countries where they haven't had the amount of intermixing, please, no.
I remember in one Facebook group, I saw people talking about how they should all band together and go and build up. It wasn't even a specific country, or a specific city, which I could see. We should go together and go build up Africa. They need us over
The continent.
To be doing.
Yeah, those are the ones.
The number of people, of individuals in Africa who individually have more money than all of us put together is, we can't count that number. I can't count that high, right? No. But
the arrogance,
discredit, it's arrogance, but it's also discrediting Africa, right? It's discrediting what's already there, because Americans of all types have an overblown sense of self-importance.
Yes.
So,
yes. Look, I have heard young Brazilians say that about Portugal.
They're going to come to Portugal?
No, they're here. They're here.
Oh, yeah?
They're here. They're here talking about, they need us because they were all old, and then we brought this young flavor. We taught them how to party. Look, as a former colony, they get to say whatever they want to say. That is not my job to tell them how to, right? But me, I am looked at as a gentrifier. We are looked at as gentrifiers. We are not, in a lot of people's minds, we are not helping. And so we're very conscious, thanks to YouTube.
Yeah.
Because I never would have, it's not like I understood not having a colonized mind, being the daughter of Sister Soldier and Malcolm X, right? But the notion of consciously trying to add value by not being a gentrifier, and what that looks like, right, is because of you too.
Oh, thank you. But I'm going to add that to the list. If you don't want to be, if moving abroad and being criticized while doing your best would be hard for you, it's not for you. Because you could be doing your absolutely best, living amongst the people, someone's going to call you a gentrifier.
Yep.
Yeah.
Someone's going to point to you and call you, someone's going to say you're ruining the country. People tell me all the time that I'm the reason in the economy in Mexico. And I'm like, me? The power that I have, right? Like, okay. The other part of that is that I always say, if you can point to the economic woes in your country and you think they all stem from immigration, you haven't done a good analysis.
Right. If
every thing that's wrong with your economy is because of someone who came from somewhere else, your math is wrong. You didn't add the 1 or multiply the 2. That's not it.
You got to carry. Yeah.
You didn't.
Truly.
And so, there'll always be, if you move abroad, people will criticize you for leaving. People in your world will criticize you for leaving your world. You didn't. We should be staying to fight. They'll criticize where you go. You should have gone to Africa. People who are where you are will criticize you for being there. The people who want to be where you are will criticize you because you're not doing it correctly. And if that bothers you, don't do anything different, right? Because if you do something different, people will have something to say. Yep. I love it. I don't love the criticisms, but like I've become very good at tuning it out. But I love my life, and so to me, it doesn't matter. I'm not hurting anybody. I haven't killed anybody today, right? Like, so what? So why?
That's a good thing.
You can, right? Like, I don't care what you say about how I live my life. It is what it is.
Yeah. Exactly. I've watched and listened to these women for countless hours. I know that, Professor. We want to see you in these international streets. And I want an update from our coaching session over a year ago now, baby. I want an update. I have never heard this much about these topics. Fantastic and substantive interview. Thank you, baby. Thank you. Thank you. I love getting compliments from people who are smarter than me. Mm-hmm. It means a lot, right? It means a lot. All right, you had a question?
Yeah, I wanted to know. So you probably get this question all the time, and I know we get it. How do you do all this stuff if you're not rich? You're not a millionaire or whatever.
Listen, I sincerely thought that you needed to be rich to live this kind of life. I did, and I was an adult until I was 40. Okay, so I don't fault people for having that question. I only fault them if they don't ask the question, right? If they just assume they have an answer and that answer excludes them, that's the problem. The problem isn't asking the question. I started traveling full time by house sitting plus working online as a virtual assistant, right? House sitting gave me a free place to stay. My virtual assistant business fed me, plus birthday money from my parents. When my business wasn't doing so good, I'm like, how many more weeks until my mom sends me some Christmas cash, right? Now my YouTube channel, my coaching business support me. I think that I have some things that I would be spending much more money on in the US. My lifestyle, even though it seems more expensive because I travel full time, my lifestyle is less expensive because I don't do it in the United States, right? Some regular costs like car and insurance and gas, right? I'm not doing that again. And then other things, healthcare expenses, a lot of the things that would eat up and drain me of money just don't matter to me anymore, like the car stuff, right? I don't have to deal with them anymore, or I do still deal with them like healthcare, but they cost me pennies on the dollar. And so that's how I do it without having a trust fund, without having yet met a rich sucker. But y'all, if you meet one, okay, send him my way.
With a yacht.
With a yacht, yeah, that's what I've been looking out for that guy for you.
Please.
He doesn't have to have a yacht. He has to have yacht money.
Please.
Oh man, and some of the yachts we saw in Spain. Oh God.
And you ain't stop and ask nobody for their number, did you, Rick?
Oh no, I wouldn't do that.
Shoot.
They'd be trying to get what I got.
Talking about being invisible, right? Because this was what Stephanie was talking about yesterday. And this is the reason, y'all, why you need to get to be a part of the Exodus Summit crew. Because especially as a woman over 40, as a Black woman over 40, I've been feeling invisible for a long time. But when we were at dinner, when Rashida came and Herman came to Lisbon, we all had dinner. They had octopus.
Me and Mom's ate that octopus. It was good too.
I think it was me and you, Rick, that ate the octopus, wasn't it?
No, your mother had it too. I'm pretty sure she had it.
I'm eating octopus. I don't know what she ate.
Yeah, I think she had octopus. You had octopus.
Okay, we all had octopus.
Because that was the reason I said, okay, I'll try that. That was my first time eating it. I was a virgin.
Octopus virgin.
Took it from you.
And so your mom was talking about all the people who were giving you second glances, Rashida. And then in Lisbon. And then Rick chimed in and said, oh yeah, they do that to my wife all the time. I don't notice because I've been so used to being invisible that I don't even pay attention. Plus I'm married, so I don't care. But it is nice not to be invisible. The other thing that I have recognized is the importance on families and the importance on for the elderly, right? You don't have to, when you get on, if you're of a certain age and you get on public transportation, you will have a seat. Unless all the seats are taken up by people who are also like you. You don't even have to ask. They will jump up no matter what you look like and give you that seat.
I remember I was on the train once in the Bay Area, and I was sitting next to a man and a woman who was older than both of us walked over to us and told me to get up while this man was sitting right next to me. And I was like, oh no, like normally, like for an elderly lady, I would just get up. But you see this man, now there were some racial things at play here. But if you think I'm gonna get up and give you, like, it's the fact that she didn't ask one of us. She came over and directly to you, to me, and asked for my seat. And I was like, and there was some telling. It wasn't necessarily an asking. There was a little bit of telling as well to get up and give her a seat. And I was like, I literally was like, ask him. Because what I'm going to do is sit down.
That's right.
If she'd been standing for a while, there's a very good chance I would have gotten up and offered her my seat. But the fact that she walked over and assumed, an Asian woman walked over and saw me sitting next to a white man, and I was the one that had to get up to give her a seat. You've made it a thing. So now it's a thing. Yeah, let's do this thing. Let's do this thing, right?
It's on.
I ain't getting up, dog. But but usually, like, I'm very used to in Mexico. The other day, I was on the train. A woman came in, a young woman, had to be in her 20s, but she was carrying things. A woman older than her was like, nope, sit down, take my seat, right? Because there really is that idea that, and some of it is challenging because you can't look at someone and know whether they need a seat or not, right? But the idea that if you look like you have a need for this more than I do, I'm going to give it to you, which is not very common for us as Americans, right?
Right.
The idea that community care, Stephanie talked about yesterday, but community care of, you got your hands full of stuff. Sit down. I was on the same train once. I saw a girl with her arms full of things, and I offered to hold things for her. And she was younger. And she was like, no. Her mom was like, give it to her. Her mom was like, just hand, like she's offering, hand her the thing to carry because we're all standing on the train. There were no seats. And like, you could tell she didn't want to bother me, but her mom was like, you know what I mean? Like, someone is here to help you. Let them help you. That's just not something we typically are used to in the US. Honestly, like, if I get offered assistance in the US, I often look at it with a side eye, like, wait, what are you?
Yeah, what are you up to?
Right? Now, sometimes overseas, you got to do that too, because they'd be at like ticket stations, like, do you need help with that?
Yep.
Work here?
We saw that in Spain.
Yeah, I think that's the last time I saw it. Like,
yeah. You ain't got no official shirt on, nothing. What you doing?
What you doing? I don't trust this, right? But I also think that's part of like the Americanness in me of like, someone offers help and I'm immediately distrustful. If it's a seat, if I can clearly tell what's going on, I will accept the help like a seat. But otherwise, I'm like, what are you doing? What's going on? Because we're not used to that help.
Help me. I will hand you my phone. I don't care. Listen, I'm in a place where I feel like people are more helpful. I'm taking every drop of help. Every drop.
You don't trust the man by the ticket booth in the train station.
No, not that.
I have handed them my debit card before. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Stephanie.
I'm in the thing. I'm not doing it right. Something's not working. I've had a man say, I'll do it for you in Spanish, and handed him my debit card. Listen, I'm in a new place where people have been extremely helpful, right? People have, there is a different community means something different when you go to these other places. I'm diving into the community, baby. Give me it all. Give me all of it.
And it is right. It looks different. It looks different when you're outside of the U.S. because I've heard people say Portuguese people aren't friendly. Right? Because they don't have the hello, like we do in America. And I was like, do you want friendly or do you want kindness? I prefer kindness. When I don't know what was wrong with me. I was still probably suffering from the stress of the U.S. because it was during our scouting trip and it was hot and I hadn't eaten and I sat my butt down on an end cap in the grocery store. Girl, I didn't have a fan. And I felt like I was about to faint. I had 3 different women come over to me. Okay, where is your husband? Let me find him for you. Then she came back around, let me give you some water, something. That is the humanness that you can find when we're not pitted against each other.
Yeah.
Right?
That humanity. That's right. We get to see we get to be treated like a human when we leave the United States, like we don't here. I don't care where you live. I don't care. Right? We get to be treated like a full-fledged person countries.
Uh-oh.
Use it. Take advantage of it, right? Even
Yeah.
if you think the person is doing it for a tip, sometimes they might. The man at the ATM, he definitely wanted €1. I think it was Portugal, actually. He definitely wanted me to give him €1. I gave him €1, right? But let people treat you better. Take all of it. Accept it.
That's part of the reparations.
It is reparations.
Because that blue passport, y'all, those from Canada, from Britain, from the United States, all these English-speaking countries that have melanin, like that blue passport is part of it, right? When I talk to people who don't have a strong passport and hear the trouble that they have getting to wherever it is that they want to go, whether it's here to Portugal or some other place, I'm like, okay, I have to understand that I've got some privilege. I've got some privilege and I'm going to take advantage of it. Right?
Yeah.
So financial freedom, Exodus Summit, we're talking about time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom. I always like to talk about the money first, because look, I've heard of people moving and then asking about a food bank. What are we doing? What are we doing? We are not encouraging that.
No.
Ask if they can get on Mexican welfare, and I'm like, that's not going. If I move here, can I get on? That shouldn't be. Cross it off your list of plan. Like if that's plan A, it's time to move to plan H. Like just jump on down. Something. Right. But it is something we see in this space frequently. People who hear that it's so much cheaper to live abroad, and they think that means no money. Right? Where can I live for $200 a month? In your mama house, right? Like, I'm so sorry.
If you're lucky.
Right?
Not this mama. Mama.
If you're lucky.
Mama.
Not in this world. We live off of less than $40,000 a year with the travel. Y'all. Why?
Great.
Because we're not having to pay. I mean, just with employee-based health insurance, we were paying like doggone near $400 or $500 a month for health insurance. We pay $1,800 a year with pre-existing of a certain age and all of that stuff. So if you don't have a pre-existing and you're under 65, it's going to be less. And we got the Cadillac plan, what we would call the Cadillac plan, right? And if it hits the sham, there's a public system. Oh yeah.
A place where a safety net really exists,
right? Like where you can go get your treatment and you have to pay the administrative costs. Here's €3. Here you go. Oh no, it's covered. It's covered, right? Even I've been telling our audience, like when I went to get a mammogram, first of all, sonograms are just all included. When you get a mammogram and a sonogram at the same time, that's standard. And with no insurance, both of them together was $110. You should be able to write a check before you move. If you can't write a check at will for €110, $115, because Sally Joe, when I thought I was still covered, charged me $565 just for the mammogram. Oh, and 3D is standard.
How do you stop yourself from just getting examined all the time? Listen, let's go to the doctor for this. My elbow. Let's go to the doctor because I scratched my elbow. Right? Like, how do you stop yourself? I can't imagine. So I'm not yet there. Right? I'm not yet in a place where I have that where I have the coverage and the residency. Right? But I think my first year as a true resident in Costa Rica is just going to be me in the doctor's office. Like, it's Tuesday. I just thought I would come in. See what's on the menu, because doctors abroad have menus with pricing. And you can choose you can pick some things.
Yes.
Like, here today, I would like to have this and this and that. right? You know what it's going to cost ahead of time.
Yeah.
The whole new
No
world.
hidden
No hidden
costs.
costs.
No hidden costs. No, the lab is charging you this, and the clinic is charging you that, and the doctor's charging you this. No.
You can know before you go.
So who's going to be talking about financial freedom at Exodus Summit? But first of all, who is Exodus Summit for?
Exodus Summit is our virtual event for Black women where you come in and work on your plan for your career break, your sabbatical, your move abroad, your nomad life, right, where you're going to bop around. Exodus Summit is for Black women who are ready to start working on it. You don't have to be ready to get out the door. You don't have to know how it's going to happen, right? But you have to have an interest. Have an interest in doing something. If you're subscribed to this channel, you're interested, right?
Yes.
We bring in speakers every year who come in and take the women who attend the summit from it's a dream, but I don't know, to here are some steps that are going to get me closer to it, right? Oh, look, here's my plan, right? It's our favorite time of the year, and it's October 6th through 9, 2023. We don't underestimate how amazingly transformative the summit is. Each individual session is wonderful. So you asked about financial freedom, but I just answered a more general question.
Well, I asked both. First, who is it for, and about who's going to be talking about financial freedom. And so if you are a male person, a Black male person in our audience, Action VJ and others, you got a sister, you got auntie, you got a niece, you got a mama, send them. Even if they are not interested in moving abroad, send them so they can get you the information. Right? And then maybe something is sparked.
Yes, so they can have a spark. So they can figure out, because it's not just about your life abroad, it's how do you get location freedom today where you are? How do you get time freedom in the life you have today? How do you get more financial freedom in the life you're living now, so you don't have to wait until you go abroad? These are tools that are going to propel you to where you want to go, no matter where you want to go. Also, anyone here, male, non-Black, if you are not a Black woman and you're like, this sounds awesome, feel free to send a Black woman to Exodus Summit. You don't have to know her. We have a scholarship fund, which we use to send women who would not be able to afford a ticket without this scholarship fund. We accept donations. So if you're like, it's not for me, or I can't qualify, your wallet still does.
And I just put in the chat, the Cash App is the $, of course, as always, is for Cash App, Exodus Summit. On PayPal, it's Exodus Summit. So that's how you find it. I watch Stephanie, so I know these things.
Yes.
And it's very easy, right? So yes, I know you have Libria Jones talking. She will also be talking at the Move to Portugal Summit about remote work, using AI to get remote work, et cetera, et cetera. She is the remote work queen. I also know you have Tyne. Is it Teen or Tyne?
Teen Zekas.
She was amazing last year. I wasn't even working. But this is, I'm a learner. I am a curious person. I'm a lifelong learner, and I want to know the things so that if someone asks me, I can say, well, this is what I learned from her.
Yes. So Teen is going to come in. Teen's platform is about getting Black women paid, right? And so she's going to come in to talk to you about the steps to take to get paid more at the job you have right now. You have a job. If you're working, if you're a Black woman working, you're not getting paid enough.
Period.
That's right. Period. Done. The studies say it. Everybody knows it, but we don't talk about it enough. You're not getting paid enough. So Tina is going to show you what to do to get paid more money. Jamila Safrant from Journey to Launch is talking about FIRE with us this year. She's going to talk about how to calculate your number and, figuring out when you're ready for a move, whatever that move might be. We're excited about that one.
Anything you want to add, Steph?
Yeah. We have so we have some sessions that are like tangentially related to financial independence. So these things go so well together, right? Time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom go so well together. So we have a couple of sessions that are not directly related to the money, but are related to the other freedoms, which also lead you to the money, right? So Libria Jones on using AI tools. I'm sorry, I lost
connection there for a second.
Sorry. But Libria is coming in to do a session on using AI tools, remote work that really does not care where you are in the world, remote work that will let you be location
independent. I think you've got a lot of people in your fancy smancy lounge right now using the internet. Because you were freezing up there for a second. Yeah, she's freezing. So we did talk about Libria Jones, and if y'all don't know, she's got a YouTube channel as well, so you want to check that out as well. Exodus Summit Facebook group. For those who are like, well, this is my first time hearing about it. What happens in the Exodus Summit Facebook group?
Exodus Summit is my favorite place on the internet. It is the community. She's smiling because she's in there. Rick don't know she's in there. It's for Black women only. It is a very kind and loving space. The only requirement is that 1, you're a Black woman, and 2, you are kind to the other Black women in the group. Because no matter how your day is going, if you comment in Exodus Summit, if you make a post, everyone who responds is going to respond to it with love, right? Now, sometimes love might be like, ooh, here's something else to consider, right? But in some groups, the like, well, why wouldn't you be going to Africa? But that doesn't happen there, right? It's a Facebook group for Black women who want to move abroad, or take career breaks, or just do something new. And whether that's today, 10 years from now, 5 minutes from now, it really is women who want to see each other do well. There's no competition. There's no infighting. It really is. There's no cliques that I am aware of. It really is just women who are like, oh, I want to see my sisters doing well. And so it's a very, very happy place. Yolanda from Locating Cozy says, Exodus Summit is filled with positivity, support, and love. Yes.
I love it. It's true. It's true. And for those of you who are like us and figured this stuff out a little late, our Facebook group is Fire Over 50. And it's the same requirements, except for you don't have to be a woman.
You don't have to be over 50.
You don't have to be over 50. You do have to be from the diaspora. Okay. And so if you already belong to Exodus Summit, even if you don't have your picture in there, you will get entry faster because I know they do their due diligence.
So you make us work.
Roger's asking.
Exactly. Roger's
to do Venmo.
Oh, Roger's asking if you do Venmo.
We don't. CashApp and PayPal only.
But Roger, I do Venmo and I can transfer the money.
Done and done.
So I will text you that information. Okay. So I worked with Roger back in the day. He is from my political world. And yes, and he is definitely a progressive mind who has always been one of my favorite people from that world. Yeah.
Halisi, I'll send you my Venmo and then I'll send it out. I will do the
perfect
to Cash App or some other way.
Perfect.
Done and
done.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
I don't do that.
No, exactly. So I've got to mention this because this is something that is one of those intangibles, one of those soft skills, one of those things that you can't quantify that changed my life. And you talked about no competition.
Mm-hmm.
Black excellence says everybody is your competition, which is one of the reasons why I could not I didn't have a lot of Black female friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even realize, and the crab in the barrel mentality, it all goes into it. But when you all said, and for those of you who want to start a side hustle, there's some other stuff, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But when you said, I don't have any competition, and it wasn't from arrogance, it was from love. It was from, I am here to help, and anyone else out here doing the same thing, we can help each other.
Mm-hmm.
What a concept that harkens back to the motherland.
Mm-hmm.
From way back when, before the colonizers came, right? Where we really did have community. Even before segregation, we had that mentality that we are here to help each other. And so I remember I took in February 2022, I took Get Your First 3 Clients or Get Your Next 3 Clients.
Get your next 3 clients.
With Stephanie and Rashida. And I'm sure Stephanie's trying to log back in. So she'll be back. But so I took this course with them at the time. See, y'all, at the time, I think it was under $100.
It's not now.
It's not anymore.
It's not now.
Yesterday's price is not tomorrow's price. Get your Exodus Summit ticket today, babies. Get your Move to Portugal Summit ticket today.
Everything is going up. Everything.
However, this channel in a year went from 0 in a year to 15,000 subscribers because of what I learned in Get Your Next 3 Clients and in Stephanie's Get Found on YouTube. So is she offering that as a bonus to all Access Pass holders? Do you know? Do you remember?
No, this year, there are no bonuses that are like that. No course bonuses. I know.
If you're just now finding out about these women, we're sorry. If you knew and you didn't take advantage.
There were bonuses the last 3 years. This year we were like, what does our audience really want? And I think the audience that knows us already knows about these things. And if they wanted them, they had access to them for years. And the audience that doesn't know us doesn't necessarily know the value of these things. So we really focus on putting things where the value is, like Ma Child just reminded us, having some really amazing keynote speakers that are going to blow everyone's mind that I'm very excited about. And I'm like, whoo.
Well, let's talk about the keynotes right now.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. Our first keynote is Rachel Cargle, the author of Renaissance of Our Own. She is an activist, an entrepreneur. I'm really excited to talk to her because her life mirrors a lot of the work that we are all doing. And actually, something you said earlier reminded me of something she says in her book, because she was talking about how once you start doing the work, people just want more work from you. When she became a visible activist, everyone was like, this terrible thing happened here, and this terrible thing happened here, and that terrible thing, and that terrible thing. So I need you to comment on them and do something about them. And it's like, okay, but then what about, like, all my life is just like trauma porn over and over and over, and there's no space for me to rest. There's no space. So we're going to talk about that, about like learning how to rest in the moment and then carving out larger spaces of rest for you. So I'm very, very excited about that conversation. That is going to be Saturday, October 7th. Next is Dr. Joy from Therapy for Black Girls. Dr. Joy Harden Bradford is coming to talk to us about sisterhood, because sisterhood is the most powerful thing on this planet. Black women being there for each other is an amazing experience that I'm so sorry that some of you will never experience. And Rick, there's a Black woman here for you. It's just not in the sisterhood. You got to find a brotherhood of your own. You know, you're one of my favorite men, Rick. Rick knows.
I know, and I appreciate you.
But the sisterhood, right? The sisterhood is something that if you're not in it, you don't understand. And a lot of the sisterhood is born from tough places, right? Like no one understands what it's like to be a Black woman and at that intersection of so much hard stuff, right? We're being squashed between the proverbial rock and the hard place at the same time. And in that space, there are my sisters. And I don't get out of that space without my sisters. And so Dr. Joy Harden Bradford is coming to talk to us about sisterhood. And Stephanie, our last keynote speaker, is up to you to announce. On Monday evening, we have
Tabitha Brown. Tabitha Brown is our Monday evening keynote speaker. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
We can hear
Y'all
you.
are on the screen. Okay, y'all are frozen on my screen. Okay, Tabitha Brown is our Monday night keynote speaker. By the time the summit is over, you will have heard some how-tos, right? You will have learned some new tools. And Tabitha Brown is coming in to help you dream a new dream. Get a vision for your life, get some clarity, to talk to us about how she has been able to do that and hold on to a dream, a vision, a plan that when other people were telling her, girl, give it up. So we're very excited that she's coming in to help us put it all together. What is it for, right? What is it for? Yes, we want to work on financial independence, financial freedom, location freedom, and time freedom, but why? What is our big picture? So Tabitha Brown is coming to bring it all home for us, which is very exciting.
It is exciting.
I don't know what I'm going to do about my hair.
very exciting.
Hey, Mary, your hair is beautiful.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, because about 2 years ago, my hair was falling out from the stress, and I don't feel like it's come back, right? So Mary says the mental fatigue is different than physical fatigue. It is. I thought when I voiced to take a break years ago, my colleagues selfishly convinced me to work for them. Not me. Thoughts?
Yeah.
No.
I think mental fatigue is the thing that we have the easiest time ignoring, right? Because like you take a nap, you'll be fine, right? Like, yes, I'm crying on Sunday evening, but I'll be fine on Monday morning. It'll be all right, right? Because in the US, so many things are tied to our employment that when you're employed, you don't feel good. And when you're not employed, you're not allowed to feel good either, right? Like when I was laid off and in between jobs, it was always like, oh, your life must be so terrible. And it was, because I didn't know it didn't have to be, right? Like I was in my apartment all day, my home that I had a mortgage to pay on all day, just worried, instead of like, I could be at a museum, I could be doing this, and I wasn't doing it because who am I to be out in the world when I don't have a job, right? So you're employed, you're unhappy, you're unemployed, you're unhappy. And all of these, like at every moment, you're at the will of your employer, who's probably not as smart or capable or as kind of person as you are. So,
yep.
Right.
And for those of you who are thinking about going back to school and doing all these things so that you can make more money to do the thing, there's something that you said, Rashida, that is like, duh. Look at the people who have the job you want and see if they're happy. See if or regardless of whether they appear to be happy or not, would that life make you happy, more importantly? And I never thought to do that. I was always struggling to get to a job. And when I looked at how they lived, it's like, I don't want to do that.
This don't look good.
No.
So you're getting paid a lot of money, but you never see your family. You can't take a vacation because you're at the...
No. But you got 3 weeks paid vacation that doesn't roll over, but they never let you take it.
At one of my jobs, I was one of the highest ranking Black women. I would be in meetings with the CEO of the like big shot, right? I go on meetings. This man would not acknowledge that I existed. And I'd have to be like, hi, Ed, all the time, loud, obvious. I have flown into town for this meeting. Every other person who's in this meeting has spoken to me at some point. They've seen me there, they said hi. My boss is always like, you got to go see Ed. You got to go say hi. I try to see Ed. His secretary won't let me in. I walk in the meeting. Everybody's like, hi, Rashida. Not him. He looking at something. No, right? Like, no matter what my role is, no matter what my title is, right? Like, I have the same life that they do. But you're not even going to recognize that I'm alive. So even if you make it to the level, right? Like, even if you make it to the level those people have, you're still a Black person. You're still a Black woman. My coworkers used to joke that they had their meetings with Ed in the men's room. Cause like, that's where they would talk. That's where he would like, at the urinals is where they talk to him. And I was like, oh, I guess I will never meet with Ed. Because like, you are the same level I am. And you're telling me that the way you communicate with Ed is you follow him into the bathroom and whip your dick out next to him. What? Like, do you not hear what you're telling me? Like, you don't hear what you're telling me. That I will never have any FaceTime with Ed. Okay.
I just got a weird mental image.
I had the image that the guy would turn and talk to him.
He said that's our joke, is that's when you talk to Ed. No, I'm in a meeting that I was told to come out here to be in with Ed, and he gonna act like I don't. No, baby, because I worked hard to get here, to be in this room. These people's lives are terrible. I don't want their lives, but at least they get respect at work. I don't even get that. I'm working hard to be here. I don't even get the same respect they do. So
Miss me with that.
That's not my point. Is that you're working hard, you're seeing their life. I didn't want their life, and my work life was worse. What is this? What? Where does it end? Right? Where is the evening out? It's nowhere. It's in communities like this. This is where the evening out happens.
Yeah.
This is where I get the love. This is where, like, if you don't want to speak to me, that's cool. But you're not going to, like, no one in my community would call me to show up to a meeting and then not speak to me. Not acknowledge that I'm a human. You don't have to like me, but I work for you, right? I am the highest ranking Black woman in this company, in the entire organization, and you won't speak to me. Okay.
Helping you meet your numbers so you can get your bonus. That part.
Yeah.
On my very first day, I was the highest ranking Black woman. My entire stay there, same thing. And you won't even acknowledge me. And we don't have beef. You just don't care that I'm alive. You just don't care. Keep
doing what you're doing, though. Keep making sure that our legal stuff is in order, though.
The reason you had to fly out here for this meeting is because we messed something up. We need you to fix. But I'm not going to acknowledge it. Okay. I'll work hard my whole life. Twice as hard. You can't even say hi to me. Why? Like, there's no winning, right?
No,
and so at some point, it's like those racehorses that die on the track, right? You're either going to run yourself to death on the track, or you're going to trot your ass off. And I chose to trot off because I can't die on the track.
And we want that for you too.
We want it for you too.
We want that for you too. Right? And the way we were able to do it in 2022, as opposed to 2025, which was the original plan, is because I attended Exodus Summit, as well as Get Your Next 3 Clients and the YouTube Challenge. I know how to get in front of the camera, but I didn't have a clue about YouTube. I did not. Do you think it's more impactful to take the sabbatical outside the US? If yes, why? Great question. Great question.
I do think so, Kemi. I do, because I think that in the US, it's just hard to not work. You don't have people in your day, in your life, who are flaunting their free time like you see in other parts of the world. I think you don't have to, right? This is not a requirement. You can take a sabbatical and stay right in the house you paid for, right? You're paying for it. You never get to be there. You never get to enjoy the backyard or the pool, right? A house sitter enjoys your pool more than you do if you have one, right? So you can stay home. But I do think that there is an extra level of impact. You asked about more impactful, right? I think it is more impactful when you leave the US, because then you get to see people who have lives that don't revolve around work. In the US, our lives revolve around our work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. And so I do think it's more impactful, but not necessary. You can still take a sabbatical, stay right in your house, stay
Mm-hmm.
right in your city, stay right in your town. But you're going to need to do some extra like buffering of yourself. You're going to need to like prepare yourself to not work. It's really hard. It's really hard to not have work be the center of your life.
It's also hard to do it without community, right? Like Stephanie said, you don't see other people doing that. Right. And so when you want to go to a museum on a Tuesday at 11, the rest of your friends are like, what's your problem? When I was taking a career break, I was in Facebook groups and I'd be like, hey, what y'all doing today? And someone was like, oh, I'm going to this. I remember I was in Spain. I think I was in Barcelona. I don't remember. You probably correct me real soon. And they were like, oh, I'm going to the Picasso museum today with my friends. You want to go? Yes, Black lady. I would like to go. We just went. Because what else are we going to do? We're not working, right? And I would say two things. So taking a sabbatical outside of the world will allow you to see new parts of you, see new parts of the world, but it will also expand your network in a way that you might not be expecting. Right. I have friends all over the globe that I wouldn't have had if I didn't spend a year traveling. My girl is in Chiang Mai right now and hit me up like, I'm about to be in Mexico City on these dates. Will you be there? Yes, baby, come through, right? Like my international phone book, right? Because I'm old school with the phone book, right? Has expanded so much beyond where it would have been if I didn't travel outside of the United States. So you don't need to do that. But a lot of people you don't need to do that, but you do need, if you're going to take a sabbatical, to find communities of humans who are sabbaticaling, right? You do need to find other people to support you along the way, like an Exodus Summit. Because there's someone else, there's another person there's another Black woman. Hey, Black woman, there's another Black woman in your city taking a sabbatical as well, or who's taken one and who would love to talk to you about it and what she did and what she did wrong or what she did right. They're out there, but if you don't, it's easier to accidentally find them abroad than to take the effort of intentionally finding them inside the US, right? I see a Black girl in another city, in like a city anywhere else in the world, and I'm like, hi, how's it going? What's your name? What you doing? Are you going on? Until you think I'm crazy, but I'm like, hey, I'm here. What are you doing here? What's going on? And there's just that, like, it's so much easier to build community like that, because if I don't know anybody here, she might not know anybody here. And if she does know people here, I'm in luck because now I have a new community.
Yep.
There's magic in there. There's magic.
There really is. And what I've seen, like I said earlier, sometimes it's hard to disconnect from the nonsense when you take your sabbatical at home in the US. I've seen people fill up their day with a bunch of nonsense because, well, they've got to be productive. I can't just do nothing. Yeah, you can just do nothing. I'm still waiting for the house sit with the pool where I can float and take pictures like Stephanie does, the selfies and stuff.
She's an expert.
She's an expert.
She's an expert.
Floating on the pool and doing all this. It's doing nonsense. I can't wait for the day where, and the only reason I haven't done this, and I was talking to Rick about it when we were in Spain, is because all of this is still so new that we're still sightseeing in our own city. But I love crafty stuff, and I want to start doing crafty stuff. I love to sew. I want to learn I know how to crochet. I want to learn how to knit. I want to learn how to crochet better. I want to do crafty stuff. Not stuff that brings money.
Do you think that you're in a place now where you can do crafty stuff in a non-competitive, right? Non-give it 100% way, in a much more relaxed and easy way?
Yes.
Okay.
Because before I sewed so that I could have the clothes that I couldn't afford to buy
Oh,
Okay.
back in high school, right? I went to Beverly Hills High School, y'all,
oh, did you?
but I lived in the hood. So these girls were showing up in designer this and I mean, the amount of money that these kids had from their parents was out of control. Like matching pumps and handbags, Charles Jourdan and all of this stuff. Not the jeans, the shoes. That means $300 shoes in the 80s. Here I am shopping at Learners, if anybody remembers Learners.
Uh-huh.
So I made stuff so I could have designer looks. So and still that's kind of a competition, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is still a competition. Now it is about relaxation and I love to do it, and it's a relaxing thing. So my mind still goes, like I'm still thinking about things. Okay, where are we going to go next? Where's it? Oh, house sit. Oh, this house sit. Oh, and it's like, no. I had 2 house sits for the holidays, and I sat there in Spain and I hit cancel. One of the things was, y'all didn't get back to me soon enough. You missed out. You missed out on this great couple that leaves your house better than they found it.
Mm-hmm.
And your kitties or your doggies very, very happy. But then the other part is like, no, just relax.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be here. Just relax.
Yeah.
You know,
rush.
There is no rush. We're in good health, right? There's no rush. So Rashida, how did you know that you had enough to retire? Just for those of you who are just now tuning in, Rashida retired before the age of 40, y'all.
Okay, so I did backwards math, right? Like I told myself that I couldn't be in my early 30s. I told myself I could not be working a corporate job at 40. I couldn't. I've been working since I was 12. These people, like, being a lawyer sounds good. It's kind of most lawyers will tell you it's kind of terrible. It's kind of like what you see on TV is not what we're doing. It's kind of terrible. Mine was like terrible plus. I had terrible plus I'm a woman, terrible plus I'm Black. And I work with terrible people. So I knew that. And then I took a break at 30, just before my 39th birthday, I took a break for a year. So just before 40, my year was over. But I knew halfway through my break that I couldn't go back to working in a traditional sense. But I was like, okay, but I got to make money, blah, 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 blah. And then when around the time 40 was rolling around, I was like, what if we looked at this a different way? And what I did instead was figured out how much, with the money I had, how long I wanted the money to last for, and how much I could spend each year doing that math. So I did, instead of saying like, how much money do I want to have to spend each year and saving up for that, I looked at the money I had and was like, if we don't go back to work again, will I be on the side of the road begging? Because honestly, what I hear from most Black women is that if I don't work, I'm going to be homeless. Like the distance between a paycheck and like abject poverty on the streets with nothing is this. It's this in most Black women's minds. It's this. It's one step. The day they stop working, it's like, well now.
Where's the soup kitchen?
Where's the soup kitchen, right? No matter how much money they have saved up, it's like, I can't stop working because I need to have money coming in. I looked at it and was like, can I live on the money I have? And I decided I could. Listen, I would rather live these years now with the hope that my money will last. And if it doesn't, figure it out on the back end. I'm really nice to my nieces and nephews. They love me. I love them.
Your god kids.
Those are my god kids. My nieces and nephews are my god kids. Okay. I call them nieces and nephews. They're my god kids. I am their favorite. I make sure every time we see each other, they tell me that I'm their favorite. Like, you, come on now. One day I might be. But as of today, I spoil you. I take you out. I treat you. Listen, I am living for today. I cannot live for tomorrow. I lived most of my life for tomorrow. I had to sit down and do the math. I did, like I said, I did the fire calculation differently. If I want my money to last for this long, how much money can I spend each year? I looked at that number and said, oh, I can live on that number. So let's do it. Let's do it, right? If I had done the math, so I told myself that I had to retire early in the early 2000s, maybe mid to like 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, somewhere in there. I had to stop working. It's like 15 years ago. I had no idea how I was going to make it happen, because in order to retire early, you got to have like, $20 million, 50, 70, 7 million. There has to be some. I feel like everybody's, until FIRE came around and was very popular, everyone's, this is how much money I need to retire, was always an unattainable number for that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's number was always like out of their grasp. Like, I know I need this much money to retire, but no idea how I'm gonna get it. So I didn't even think about it. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I got to retire early. And what I just did was saying, like, I can live, I have an amount of money, and that's enough. That's enough.
And that's the magic.
It's enough.
So Stephanie, you did it differently. You live like a retiree. You did, as you say. But knowing what you know now, if someone does not have 600,000 plus in the bank, or in investments, earning money for them, right? How much buffer do you think the average person should have to, if they plan to, do some house sitting, make their side hustle, start paying, do little odds and ends, this and that? What kind of buffer, so that you're not stressed out?
That's really individual. And I think that the amount of buffer in the beginning should be more than enough to make you feel comfortable enough to go. But over time, you'll need less and less of a buffer. So it's hard to say. Some people, if you know that you're going to be able to make enough money to eat and you're going to be able to make enough money to live, then I don't know. I would say, to me, 3-4 months of extra money, I'm gone. I'm out the door. Okay. Some people would be really nervous about that, and that number just would not work in their brains. They would never leave if all they had was 3 or 4 months of money, right? Then you decide. But what's important is that you decide, and not just tell yourself that it's never going to work because, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, but so like me, so serious. I quit my job, traveled, came back with no money, got another job, worked for 3 months. I knew I had enough money to go to South Africa. That 3 months money, I saved all of it because my parents didn't charge me anything to move back in their house. So I had pretty much all that money. And so I knew that 3 months of money that I'd earned could last me about six months in South Africa and wherever I wanted to go next. And I was out the door. Some people would never do that. And I understand it. Right? I have safety nets called Joe and Connie Perry, right? That some people don't have. So what is the buffer amount? It depends. Mm-hmm. But it's mostly important that you decide on your buffer. Mm-hmm. And then understand that as you go, you're going to get more and more used to the rhythm of things, more and more used to the way money comes and goes. And that what you need for a buffer will shrink. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I used to listen. I have watched so many Susie Orman episodes, had so many books, Dave Ramsey to the woo! Like Dave and Susie were guiding me to being at that job I hated forever.
Mm-hmm.
To being a new slave, right? Where like the important thing, they'd be telling people to have 3-4 jobs, right? Susie's like, you can retire when you've given your whole life to corporate America. Bye. Right? As she jets off in her jet.
Well, you pay her $1,000 for her to tell you that.
It truly was realizing that I like money, but money likes me. Money likes being in my wallet. Money likes being in my account. I treat it well. And knowing that me and money have this understanding, I'm never going to leave you. You're never going to leave me. We're good. Why wouldn't money want to be with me? Why not? Have fun. We're drinking Cuban rum. We're lighting candles. We're having a good time. Money loves me. I love money. It's going to always come to me. It's always going to want to hang around. I don't need to tear pieces of me out of my body. I don't need to rip my clothes off to at the altar of these jobs for money to come. Since I decided to retire, money has flown to me. Money flows to me easily. I say it all the time. Money flows. Money likes me. Money flows to me.
And it's just that simple. And it's amazing because you were nervous. And in January, when I started showing you the numbers, and then when I showed him trusted house sitters, he was like, oh. So we can still take these vacations or do this traveling, right? And I said, yeah, I got it all figured out because Stephanie said, and Rashida said, and he was so tired. Let me see who these people are.
I said, who?
Who's there? What?
I don't mean to.
But here's the thing. I think part of it is your attitude about it, folks. Mm-hmm. Seriously. Don't be silly. Don't go out there with no money and no plan and then be asking about food banks. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. I say we reached Coast 5. We are basically living off of Rick's Social Security check. And I say basically because YouTube pays us money. But YouTube wasn't paying us money at the very beginning. Right. And we didn't have any clients and we didn't have this. This was a labor of love. We always have been into film and videography. This is one of the things that brought us together. So this is a natural progression. We were going to travel around and make documentaries. Now we are spreading the love on the internets and it's lovely. But when you step out on faith, and you, like Rashida said, money loves me. And you have the attitude, you operate not out of fear, right? But out of knowing that the universe will comply with what you want. I mean, we left with 2 years worth of living expenses. Today we have 2 years worth of living expenses.
Yeah.
Not because we didn't spend some of it, but because money just keeps flowing in. Mm-hmm. It just keeps flowing in. And the moment I started to get a little, oh, God was like, what you doing? Didn't I tell you? Slap, slap. And then I got some checks. The checks were, literally the checks were coming in the mail, y'all. If you've been around, you know the story. I'm not going to repeat it here, but I had to get okay with, you can call it manifestation, you can call it fate. I don't care what you call it, but when you do the thing, you have a plan, you do the thing, it flows. Mm-hmm. It flows. And we have not missed a beat. We're paying for insurance in the States. Thank you, Obamacare. Because it's cheaper than getting travel insurance. When we go back to the States to visit, right? We're paying for insurance here. It cost a little bit more than I had anticipated, but our apartment is €200 more than what I had budgeted for. When I tell you the same amount of money is in our savings account as it was before, and we haven't had to look at the investment accounts as far as pulling money out or selling stock. I'm telling you what I know, babies. I'm telling you what I know. It does make a difference that we don't have a car. We ain't got to pay for that car insurance. Because shoot, a car and car insurance, that's like $700. And that's a cheap car.
That's before you put gas in it.
Thank you.
At $7 a gallon in LA. Okay, so Regina says, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Regina says, I have a quit date for my job. It's in a couple of years. How do you stick to the date? I have a feeling I would say to myself, I don't have enough money. Oh, you're on the other side. I have my tickets to Exodus Summit. Yay. And Moverbot Summit. Yay. Yay. I'm going to let our guest answer, and I will chime in with whatever I have to add after that.
I don't have enough money is fear, right? You don't have enough money to what? What don't you have enough money? Like most times, not all the time, because sometimes we ain't got no money, right? Sometimes there's no money. But a lot of times I don't have enough money means I haven't done the math. And I'm speaking from a place of fear saying, I can't do this, often because I don't see anyone else I know doing this, or because there's just some fear around doing something new. I don't like, if you tell me you don't have enough money, but I ask you about the math and you haven't done it, our conversation is over.
Right.
You don't know how much, if you don't know how much money you need, how do you know if you have enough money? And most people don't know how much money they have. Most people have no idea how much money they have. And they have no idea how much money they need, right? And often the gap is much smaller than they think it is. And sometimes to get more money, you need to tell yourself, if you need $10,000, tell yourself you need $10,000. $10,000 is going to come along, right? $10,000 is, if you tell yourself, I need $10,000 to do this, $10,000 is going to come along. It may not be today. I'm not saying there's going to be someone knocking at your door right now. But the money is going to show up in one way or another. You just have to remember what you had set aside it for. Why you said you need this money. Put it out in the universe. The money is going to come, right? You just have to believe that you can do it. That sounds a little, whoa. I know this, but it works, right? Like Halisi said, I worked really, really, really hard as a lawyer. Really hard. I have more money now than I did then. Yeah. And I work significantly less time and less effort than I did then. And I have more money now.
We do see women though save up for their sabbatical or do whatever. You have money for the sabbatical and then don't take it. They don't take it. They don't use it. I think I have a story that can put that into perspective. In my 30s, I was going through some things. Okay. It was a terrible emotional time for me. And I laughed at that, but it wasn't funny. And I woke up one night, I heard the tow truck coming to get my car. They were coming to repossess my car. And I watched the man hook my car up and drive it away. I had the money in my account. I got on the bus that next day, took the bus to the people and paid them the money, right? For the car. And the extra fees and the extra this. And then I had to wait another 24 hours for processing and come back and get my car, right? You saving up for your sabbatical or investing for your retirement or for your big trip and not using it is as ridiculous as me having that car payment money. But it's because of this mental stuff. There's a thing. There's something going on that's going to cause you to do that. But you can't work on that mental stuff until you use that money and take that sabbatical or move abroad or do whatever or retire, do the thing, right? You have to, I know it's scary to use the money, but that's what it's for. Yeah. Right? Yeah. That's your car payment fund. It's for the car payment. It's for your sabbatical. You have to use it.
Frequently, I hear people say that, and then once they get the pot of money, they start walking it back into the American mindset. And they're like, "What if I put this as a down payment on a house instead?" Right? Yeah. Like, what if I bought a car? And I'm like, "Who gonna own the house when you're dead?" Right? Like a lot of times, because a lot of people who are thinking about sabbaticals are already on the edge, right? Your body's breaking down. You're losing your hair. You can't poop, right? Like your body, the autoimmune things are happening. The stress reactions are happening to your body, right? So you're saving all this money and not going. So who's going to be making it rain at the strip club when you're dead? Who is going to be celebrating your life with some chicken wings? Who?
And that may seem extreme, but I know two people who have plans to move to Portugal and their spouses died before they got here. Their spouse did not accompany them because they were too busy working.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is real talk, y'all. This is real talk. So Roger said done. That means he is donating money so that a Black woman could go to Exodus Summit. If there are other men who would like to treat a woman in their life, sister, daughter, niece, goddaughter, mama, your wife, we put the Cash App in there. We put the PayPal in there. It's Exodus Summit. So whatever the $ or the @ Exodus Summit, so that you can also donate. And y'all know the super chat, super thanks money here goes to Beyond the Bling scholarships. Folks asked last week. I didn't see anybody send us an email telling us what they wanted to learn from the course. So we still have a scholarship available. Question: at Our Black Utopia, have the two of you picked up the language in Lisbon?
It takes time. It really does.
How's it going? How's it going?
It's taking its good old time. I can say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.
And thank you.
And thank you.
Look at you being well-mannered. A gentleman.
Obrigado.
Other than that,
I don't know what to say back to that because I don't know any Portuguese.
de nada. De
De nada.
Oh, Donata? Okay.
It's the
I got
same.
me some Donata. All right.
It's the same. And so for those of you who know Spanish, I'm not saying it's the same language if you're Portuguese babies. I'm not saying that. But it does make it easier. And they will admit that when they're not feeling some kind of way about Spain. They will admit that reading it, you will be able to make it out, especially in context. And so for me, it's been a bit easier because I've had 3 years of Spanish because I thought we were moving to Spain. Now that I've been here and now that we've been to Spain, babies, Lisbon is the place. You want to blend in? If you want to blend in and find your hair care products and not be worried about where you need to get your hair done because they're all over the place, Lisbon is the place. I'm just trying to tell you. I'm just trying to tell you what I know. Global entry card. What is a global entry card? It only helps when you're re-entering the United States.
In the United States, yeah.
And I didn't know about a global entry card until Rashida mentioned it. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, so if you get the global entry, you don't have to go through a normal line.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, we already had pre-check. And so we just upgraded.
The last time I came to the United States, I came in Miami. In Miami, I walked up to the global thing. They scanned my face, and then they were like, "Cool, go to the thing." I go to the counter. I go to the machine, scan my face. It's like, "All right, go to the counter." Last time I had a paper. This time I think there may have been a paper this time, but I didn't have to scan my passport. I just scanned my face. I walked to the counter. The man said, "Hi, Rashida." I said, "Oh, you know that's not right."
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. Because you know who I am before I even get there.
Before you get there, yeah.
Hi, Rashida.
Did he pronounce your name correctly?
I think so. I don't remember. So maybe he said my last name. Whatever he said my name. It might have been my last name. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But whatever he said, it was right. And I was like, you know that's not cool. You know it's not cool to be calling me out my name when I haven't. We're so used to having
been introduced
and doing this and that, or like with global entry, handing them the form. That man knew who I was before just from a face scan.
Yeah.
No one looked at my passport.
No. And for all of you paranoid people, they already know who you are.
Yeah, they do.
They already know. Because before we even got global entry, when we were applying, they scanned our faces and said, "Oh, hi, Rick and Halisi," or Ricardo.
They know.
They know. They know. So there's nowhere to hide. Hey, Angela. So Angela is my accountability buddy that I met through Exodus Summit.
In Cancun.
In Cancun. Yes, we were cutting up, trying to act like we were young 30-year-olds partying on the boat and whatnot. Haircut. I cut my own hair.
And I wanted to say thank you for the chips, Stephanie. Because Stephanie said take these to Rick. You brought a bag of chips home.
In
I
Cancun.
remember that. Oh, yeah.
Cancun.
Y'all were giving away the food at the end of the boat trip. That's right.
Thank you for those chips.
Oh, you're welcome. Our pleasure.
I forgot all about that.
You remember that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Our pleasure.
So, PW, so here's the thing. When you're outside of the United States, you can afford to get haircuts. Unless you just don't like other people cutting your hair. That's one thing. But like, you know how they tell you give up the lattes so you can do that and give up this and give up that. An espresso here is 65 to 85 cents.
Yeah, you ain't got to give it up here.
The man who cuts my hair charges me 10 euro. I give him 12, 15.
10 euro, really? Do you know how expensive haircuts have gotten in the US?
No idea.
People are paying $60 and $80 for basic men's. For
Men
basic
are
men's
paying.
cut.
What?
It's crazy.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I
See?
saw someone talking about $300 haircuts for men the other day, and I was like, that must be
That's not.
that must be some other.
Yeah.
That must be some other. I got to go to a special place. He has to come to me. That can't be real life.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I don't want to hear it.
If you think now is not the time,
Yeah.
if you think you've got 5 to 10 more years, I can put in another 5 years, I can put in another 10 years, and you have the money, you and just haven't done the math. I didn't see this, thank God. And they continued the event.
She was the interim president at that, right?
Because she wanted to retire, and I think the president might have died. I don't know what happened to the old president, but she wanted to retire, and they were like, "No, take over." And the event she was at was for another Black professor who died.
She died in the chair at the event.
Now you know why we do what we do. We are on a mission.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We are on a mission. My old job thought that was my mission. That's not my mission. My mission is to save folks who look like me from that thing. Like, right? We're living our best lives, folks.
Yeah.
You gotta quit talking yourself out of it.
Yes. Yes. Stephanie, are you happy?
I'm happy, right? I'm happy. I thought that I was going to have to wait until 65, 67, maybe 71 to be happy, right? To have a life that was like all of what I wanted. But man, I got it early. I'm so glad.
Right? Right. I mean, I didn't think we could ever retire because Susie Orman said, right? I didn't think that we could ever retire.
Get 2 jobs.
Right. And I refuse. I've never had 2 jobs. I did as a kid. When I was in college. But hey, I was 19 or 20. I didn't need sleep. And then after that,
one job is killing me. This one job is killing me. When am I?
But you want me to have 2?
Right.
So I can live 1/27th of the lifestyle you live? Not
Right.
even that. 1/100th of the lifestyle you live? I got to work 2 jobs? Or maybe America could change a lot of things. Maybe there could be real safety nets. Maybe we couldn't tie insurance, healthcare to our jobs. Right? Maybe there could be real safety nets.
Right. When they figured out that Black folks too were getting Social Security, that Black folks too were getting aids for the people with dependent families, whatever that's called, AFDC or whatever, children. That's when it became a bad thing. But before that, before like 1972, all that stuff was a good thing. All those safety nets were good things as long as it's for us. But once other people who did not look like them started getting it, all of a sudden there's welfare queens and people gaming the system and you just lazy and all that. No, you're not lazy, you're tired. Our move to Portugal was made easier because of the information I obtained directly from the Exodus Summit and consulting with Our Black Utopia.
I don't think I knew that. In Portugal.
Thank you, Andrea and Jean. Oh, they've been in Portugal.
I have not gotten the update, Andrea. Congratulations.
Oh, yes. They've got a beautiful place in Coimbra.
They got a room in their place it's my room.
That's right. We'll be there.
Can I stay in your room when I head out there next year?
I know Gene's sitting there said no 1 week.
No, 3 days.
3 days. No, he
3
probably
days?
cut it down. Yeah, I got him up to 2 weeks.
Okay.
I think he just knocked it down.
He's like,
All right.
ain't nobody allowed to stay here more than 3 days.
All right.
Family,
I'm gonna see if I
nobody.
can stay in Rick's room when I show up next year. Hi, friends.
Right, it's beautiful. Right, overlooking the river. I know exactly where it is
Oh,
because
yeah.
when we were there, they were still finishing the complex. So I know exactly where it is. It's beautiful. And it does not have to be Lisbon. It does not have to be Portugal. It does not have to be Mexico, y'all. But there is a better life out there that does not have to cost the same amount. And that's one of the reasons why we still have 2 years living expenses, is because our expenses are so much lower here.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much lower. All right. So we are at 2 hours, y'all.
Yeah.
Rashida and Stephanie have been making the rounds like they on a book tour. I see you on this YouTube and that YouTube and this IG and this live chat and this and that and the other. I'm like, Lord, we've got 297 people watching. We should have 297 likes, y'all.
Should. Absolutely.
If you find this information helpful, hit that like button. That lets YouTube know that this is valuable information for our audience, for folks who like this kind of stuff, and it will push it out. That's how I found Stephanie. That's how I found Rashida. That's how I found Adelia, who will be talking at the Move to Portugal Summit for those people who have all access passes only, because she's a special VIP. So Adelia came onto our channel, Stephanie and Rashida, when we only had like 300 subscribers.
That's beautiful.
That's love.
Yeah,
Adelia is a sister in the movement, right? Adelia
She is.
She wants Black women out the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's coming.
Seriously.
She's in.
So she will always have a special place in my heart.
Aww.
Because, hey, those who brought you to the dance.
She came back again too.
And she came back for a second time.
Because the first one was messed up. The sound was messed up.
Oh, we did a rookie mistake.
But hey, yeah, she's a trooper.
And she was such a trooper. So Body Electric says, I was laid off in 2009 and learned how to make it work for 5 years before going back to work full time, right? There are so many ways to be free. Indeed. And I've been laid off of every single job I've had, for the most part. I've been laid off of 80% of the jobs that I've had. And so the side hustle thing, the consulting thing, I've done that. But it's so much harder in the United States, because then somebody's got to be working so we can afford health care. Well, not health care, health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference, y'all. So the reason why I have the link to Exodus Summit is below. Here's the deal, folks. If you are not a Black woman, we love you. We do love you. Don't make us look bad for putting that link out there. All right. Buy it for your sister, get it for your auntie, somebody who can give you the information, and then you buy the all access pass and be trying to turn your camera on. I know of one male person who went to the first or second one, left their camera off. I ain't gonna say who it is.
And that's okay. We're okay with that. What we're not okay with is when they turn their camera on and start making it about them.
Right.
We will boot you out. You won't get a refund. I'm so serious.
Yeah.
Don't do that. If you listen, we are not telling you to buy a ticket if you are a man or you're not a Black woman. But if you do it and you leave your camera off, we'll never know. If you show up in the comments saying, as a man, I disagree.
What about me? What about my needs?
Why are you only talking? If you show up in Exodus, I'm talking about why are you only talking about Black women? You will get shown the door. You will not get a refund. We tell y'all before Summit starts, it's for Black women. So because we center Black women, and we don't want anyone to feel excluded on the day of. We say that this is for Black women only, because Black women rarely have safe spaces. There are rarely safe spaces in the world for Black women to dream out loud. And this is one of them. And so if you show up on that crazy stuff, I'm gonna kick you out and I'm gonna keep your money. I'm telling you in advance.
That right there.
There you go.
So Dee Dee, I've got to give, I did say that, but one of these two ladies are the ones who said it first. And imitation is the highest form of flattery. Rick says, I have picked up Rashida's gestures.
She does. Sometimes I told you too, Rashida, when we were together. It's like I know exactly what she's saying and how she can really say it. I love talking to Rashida, and I love watching Rashida because I love her expression.
Oh,
her hand gestures, I love it.
I'm gonna be totally aware of what I'm doing. So.
Yes, yeah. I think stand-up comedian could have been in your future because you are naturally funny. You really are. You really are. Do you already have a person to donate the scholarship to? No. What are the requirements? The requirements are that you honestly cannot afford it, and that you're going to get something out of it. So send us an email, hello@ourblackutopia.com, and tell us what you hope to get out of Beyond the Bling Money Mindset Makeover for Financial Independence. If you are talking about a scholarship to Exodus Summit, I will let them answer.
The requirements are that you cannot afford it. You're a Black woman who wants to go, and there's absolutely no other way. You couldn't beg, borrow, or steal money from anyone to come, right? If you're like, I could buy a ticket or I could go out for drinks this weekend, don't apply for the scholarship, right? Like, this is for someone who has absolutely no other way. Like, the money's just not there at all. In that case, email us at hello@exodussummit.com. And we already have more applicants than money, but we'll see what happens when
it's all said and done.
When it's all said and done.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
So SIM cards for traveling in Portugal, probably. It depends on who you have. I don't like paying those Verizon prices, $10 a day. What are those international? I don't know. I still have Google Fi. They have not shut me off. But I did get a SIM card when I got here because I did not want them to cut us off. Mm-hmm. So I turn off Google Fi until I'm at home so that I can do the double authentication with our banks and all of that stuff. Now, I've heard that you could move to Google Voice and still get that same thing done. I've been too afraid to try that. So, Tanisi, I think we just answered your questions. I just want to make sure that we don't have anything else in here because I think we did it, y'all. We are talking about the virtual conference / summit. For those of you who do not know what a summit is.
Kemi, what did she say?
Rick, please have a session to talk to men. At the Move to Portugal Summit, there is going to be men's talk.
There's going to be men's talk because men need to get on board, especially married men. Really need to be on board.
Yeah, they're so risk averse. And we get that question all the time. I didn't have to convince him. We were on the same page. He had to convince me about Portugal, but not the move.
Ladies, if your husband won't get on board, what do? You leave him behind. All right.
No.
If you can't get him on board.
How many clients have we talked to who kind of said that?
We've talked to many clients whose husband weren't on board, are not planning on getting on board, and they like, I'm almost done with it.
It sucks to be you.
Like,
I'm out.
It's like, bruh, life is good. Life is good in the international street. It may not be for everyone, but hey, if you're married, listen to your wife.
A lot of
times,
times
what she says.
We see that women sacrifice in the early parts of the marriage, the beginning parts, the middle parts of the marriage. And as we get later in life, a lot of times I think women think like, oh, it's my turn now. Mm-hmm. And they're still being asked to sacrifice their dreams. One of my favorite clients is getting divorced right now.
And it's expensive, y'all. It's expensive. So have him watch Our Black Utopia.
Yes.
Because look, your credit score and everything else, if you got your money and stuff together, I don't recommend that to my enemies unless he's your enemy or she's your enemy.
Listen.
So Teresa, send us an email, hello@ourblackutopia.com. And if we're in town, we'd love to meet you and your husband for coffee.
Mm-hmm. Sweetie says she's leaving her husband. Nicole says divorce saves lives.
But you can leave your husband in the U.S. without divorce.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could just live in two different places.
Yes.
That's a thing.
That is a thing.
It's a thing.
Once I decided to move to Portugal or wherever, is it possible to be matched with people who live there? I know there are Facebook communities, but people there do not always connect outside. We have not found that. And Isan One, Ben, hi there. You can, if their Facebook community exists, you can start the thing.
Yeah.
When they did not have a Juneteenth picnic here, somebody else who had just moved here did a Juneteenth picnic. And we all went and we had a good old time, right? So yeah, you can be like Michelle and San Miguel de Allende, and they can come. Can you respond to Kimmy's post, Rick? Posting, yeah. So well, it's not a reluctant men's thing.
Yeah, no.
It is more men's talk, but if they are reluctant, they'll talk about that as well. I only returned to 9-to-5 work because I wanted to, and even on the job, I know I will be okay. I'm never afraid of losing my job. I'm currently on the fire path. Yes, free yourselves. That's right, Body Electric. My stepmother she's still saying, I just don't want to ever be broke again. And I'm not going to say how much she's worth because her birth kids may be listening, and she don't want them to know. But sister girl could have retired years ago. But that American stuff, and plus, if your family is just always in your pocket and you feel like that's your job, it is time to concentrate on you. Final thoughts, Rashida and Stephanie.
It's time to concentrate on you. Whatever it is that you want out of life that you haven't been able to get because you don't have the time to do it or to dedicate towards figuring out how to do it. You don't have the money. You don't think you can get to the place. It's time to focus on making your dreams come true. Because if you don't make your dreams, if you're not working on making your dreams come true today, when are you going to work on that? What is there's never going to be a right time. But you're healthy enough, that you're well enough. You can do this. The time is now to at least start walking down that path.
Yes. And Stephanie has to go. So
yeah, I want to say congratulations to you two again. 1 year in Portugal. You did it. Okay. We take the credit. You're two of our biggest, our best success stories. You are what Exodus Summit is for. You're who it's for Black women who have a dream and don't really see how it's going to happen. Right? We're so proud of you. So excited. Love to see y'all out here living. Okay. Out here living your lives. You didn't go to Portugal to sit in a little cave and rot away. Y'all out here living. We love that. It makes us feel good. Also happens to make us look very good. So thank you.
Thank you. You're very welcome. We love you too so much.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a full circle. 2 years later, from crying in the bathtub and watching you guys to living our best lives. Hubby's on board. Hubby was leading the charge. Y'all, you can make it happen. Yeah. Exodus Summit 2023. You have to be there. It will change your life. And then after that, if Portugal's the place, sign up to the Move to Portugal Summit. Krishan from Black Six Global, who we partnered with, will be talking at the Exodus Summit. And so you will get a double dose of her, one there and one at the Move to Portugal Summit. We love you all, and we're going to let you go.
Yeah.
We love you guys. Thank you so much.
Love you. Look forward to seeing you in person, Stephanie, and you again.
I didn't know I was
Rashida.
the only one. I didn't know I was the last one.
You're the last one.
Stephanie and I will both see you next year.
Okay.
Right.
You know that? We're both going to see them next year. Yes. Together.
All right.
Collabo.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.